Oh my gosh, it's just being right after being right after being right. And here we are again on a rolling in short talking about another time that we here in Team White Wellbeing All Right, Oath Keepers founder sentenced to 18 years for January 6th. That's Patriots Day. We call it Patriots Day here. Hey, we call it Patriots Day. Stop calling it Jan 6 and everything else they call it. It actually matters. One of these days, people will appreciate Team White Wellbeing. 18 years. And what do we say? We said sedition charges. And guess what? Sedition charges. Going to jail for 18 years. Prison, federal prison, 18 years. Let's have a look at it. Stewart Rhodes, since, and here's the thing about the Oath Keepers, a bunch of your regular military police kind of guys, retired, many of them are out of the force, and they have taken oaths to the Constitution, and they're going to stand up against them. You know what these were called back in the 80s when they used sedition charges? These were just called militias. So you had this going on here. People deciding, hey, we're not going to use any different concepts. We'll use all the concepts that the anti-whites give us because that's been working out so well. We'll use all their concepts. And then we're going to gather up a bunch of firearms and we're going to do what? Tough talk. Well, here's the lesson for this rolling in short. Tough talk is for dumbasses. It's always been for dumbasses. And we have a lot of dumbasses in the world. Their biggest problem, though, their biggest dumbass mistake is not listening to people who understand what's going on a lot better. And you know what? If we don't ever end up accomplishing anything and pushing back against anti-whiteism on a bigger level and recapturing our destiny, it'll be because so many dumbasses thought their voice and their thoughts that came out of their asses mattered, and they don't. And this keeps happening. For the totality of my service to white well-being, January 6th, 2021, attack. In other words, Patriots Day on the U.S. Capitol. Patriots Day at the U.S. Capitol has led to over 1,000 people being charged with crimes in 2 years since. Jason, but don't you know, you keep not tough talking, and you gotta say that these people need to get all that they deserve. So they gotta have, like, don't they be like quartered or something? And don't you need to say that? And make sure you say that on your broadcasts, that they need to be like gutted and in their guts, their entrails dragged to the streets. And make sure you say that in your text messages, and make sure you say that. And then the FBI agent gets his paycheck for telling you to do that kind of dumb shit. Stewart Rhodes, and I didn't even like Stewart Rhodes because he was vehemently anti-white and comments that I always saw. Maybe that's not true. Maybe the things said about him aren't true. But I did see several times where the Oath Keepers went out of their way to uphold the anti-white narrative as if that's going to benefit you. As if that's going to, I had some of these guys, right, say, oh, you're just some kind of a white nationalist or something because you want to push back against anti-whiteism. No, that's what we're all for that. Don't you understand? When we drive down the road on our Harleys, when we're out on our Harleys, we always have the non-white guys with the white females because that's America. That's America. Well, this is what happens in America. And then you got the tough talker, Stewart Rhodes, the founder of the far-right Oath Keepers group, just received the longest sentence yet in connection to the Patriots Day. And really, why did he get his long sentence? He's not a political prisoner. He is not fighting the right fight. He did not, and by the way, the asinine idea that if the anti-whites are victimizing you, if they're jailing you, if they're expanding or dilating the law to put you in jail, it doesn't mean you're in the right place. This ill-placed corrective and absolutely lame saying of, well, if you're taking flack, you're over the target. No, it just means you're in front of somebody's machine gun. That's all it means. And it means also that if you're going to be intelligent, you need to find a new leader. So you have here Stewart Rhodes, founder of the far-right Oath Keepers group, just received the longest sentence yet because he decided to be the villain in their story. How many times? Where's Maximilian von Fuck? Maximilian, can you believe that there are people out there that still don't listen to Team White Wellbeing? How many times do we got to get proven right? And how much do you want to bet? Idiots will show up in the thread saying, no, he's wrong. He's wrong. He's some kind of Fed agent over there because he tells people not to do things that end up causing them to go to jail for the rest of their lives, and then their families are exposed to who knows what out in the free world. Well, let's see. Rhodes was convicted of seditious conspiracy in November 2022. As his sentencing earlier today, he called himself a political prisoner. Wrong, loser. Wrong. You are not a political prisoner. You made a bad decision and you led men into conflict in front of the machine guns, the metaphorical machine guns of a power in this world that is called the United States, that you cannot beat physically. According to NBC News, Judge Amit Mehta shared a very different view. Quote, "You are not a political prisoner, Mr. Rhodes." I agree. He is not a political prisoner. He is a prisoner of his own stupidity, and he led men in the dumbest way possible into the gravest harm that would not have done anything for America or America, however they see it, would not do anything for the founding stock of the United States. It only could possibly be to more perfectly play the role of villain and land them in jail forever. He stated plainly before handing down his ruling, quote, "You, sir, present an ongoing threat and a peril to this country and to the republic and to the very fabric of this democracy." Now, why would a judge say that? Does the judge actually know whether or not Stewart Rhodes presents a threat? Of course not. That's not what the judge does for a living. That's not who the judge is. The judge might not even be intelligent enough to understand what could be a threat to the anti-white orthodoxy, anti-whiteism in the United States and across the West. So why would you listen to the words, the vows, the statements of the anti-whites wearing black robes, sentencing you to life in prison? The Oath Keepers leader will spend 18 years in federal prison. I think he's in his 60s, so that's it for him. Prosecutors showed his guilt by producing messages that Rhodes wrote both before tough guy talking messages, because you got to be tough, Jason. You just want to use concepts. And by the way, let me tell you about this school that the anti-whites, but these guys would say the commie Marxists set up. Let me tell you about this school where they created concepts and took over our country. But Jason, concepts aren't going to do anything. It's going to be violence. Okay, so for tough talking, let's see. 18 years in prison. Prosecutors showed his guilt. And here's some of the tough talking. Quote, "They won't fear us until we come with rifles in hand," close quote. Does that sound good? Does that sound, you feel strong talking like that? You should feel like very loose in your rear end, if you know what I mean, because that's what's coming your direction. He said prior to the riot, quote, on Patriot Day, on Patriots Day, they are going to put the final nail in the coffin of this republic unless we fight our way out. With Trump, preferably, or without him, we have no choice. Did they do any fighting? No, they didn't do any fighting. There was no assault. There was no conspiracy to take over. There were no actual plans of these men will take these weapons and take over that federal building, and they will take these hostages, and these other men will take over that building. There was no coup. There was just tough talking that Jason and Team White Wellbeing speaks out against as total stupidity, led by feds, orchestrated by feds, and also imbeciles, tough-talking imbeciles, who land people in jail for the rest of their lives, where their families are on the outside and they can't protect them while they are in prison. After the event of the fateful day transpired, he and other Oath Keepers met. And by the way, I think this oath keeping, generally speaking, is like a good idea. You made an oath to the United States government. People can get together on that, and they can actually do things to better themselves and to actually push back against anti-whiteism, which is the ideology. You don't have to be a white supremacist, by the way, to fight against anti-whiteism. You don't have to be, you're not a white supremacist if you put an end to the victimization of white people based on race. You're not a white supremacist if you acknowledge that white people are being attacked on the basis of race, and that every argument in the West is lost as a consequence of the anti-white moral imperative built on retributive justice. If you do not acknowledge that that's how we're being victimized and defeated, it won't matter. You won't win anything, even your toughest of tough talking. So this is what the Oath Keepers did. This is the Oath Keepers did. After they had their big tough talking and they were going to head to D.C. and it won't matter. This is the day that they're putting a nail in the coffin, folks. Don't listen to that no white guilt guy. This is the day, and we're going to just blood all over it's going to be blood. We're not going to let them do it. Hopefully Trump will come along with us, but it's going to be blood. That's how they talked. And then they met at Olive Garden, where what is the slogan for them? When you're here, your family. That's where they met. They didn't go back and meet at like Iron Scream Tower or like White Blood Manor. No, they went and met at Olive Garden. When you're here, your family. This is the most plastic Italian restaurant there are. Folks, do not play toy soldier. Do not tough talk. It does nothing. It doesn't push back against anti-whiteism. It doesn't recapture our destiny. It doesn't recapture our countries across the West. It only inflicts injury on the people that are talking tough. And if there are any leaders out there talking tough or encouraging you to talk tough, you need to reject them. You need to come over here. You need to start going free. You need to use this new method of concepts that push back against the method of concepts that defeated the West. Otherwise, you're going to be like the Oath Keepers, and you're going to be like Paisan over there at Olive Garden, plastic Italian as you can possibly get. Paisana, you use as a sea salt or the rock salt to clean the vangole. The vangole is cleaned with the salt and the rock salt. See, you should have come to me first, assistant. You should have come to me and said, assistant manager, give me a justice in this election. Give me a justice. But you didn't ask with respect. Bonasera, Stewart Rhodes, now you suffer the Kulu packing, if you know what I'm saying.